And ahead of that United Nations General Assembly session, the issue of atrocities against the Baloch people by Pakistan has been raised at the UN Human Rights Council. Speaking on behalf of the Baloch Republican Party, Abdul Nawaz said that Pakistan continues to commit atrocities against the people of Balochistan. Take a listen in.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pakistan continues to violate the basic human rights standards in Balochistan, including social, civil, political, economic and cultural rights of the Baloch people. The state continues to persecute the Baloch people on the basis of their national identity and political opinion. Massive human rights abuses against civilians.
Let's take a listen in, and of course, first-hand from what the Baloch activist has to say. He's now joining us live on the broadcast for more on this. Abdul Nawaz is joining us, speaking with us here on WION. Sir, appreciate you joining us. First up, this is a serious concern. Pakistan's atrocities being raised at a global platform, but the fact is that Pakistan has denied this for the longest time.
It is indeed a very positive effort to highlight the issues on international forum like the United Nations Human Rights Council, and we have been doing this for past many years. And the difference now is that more countries are now listening to the voices coming from Balochistan and the atrocities that Pakistan is committing there for past many years. So it is a very positive effort for us.
Sir, not just from specifically one quarter, we've had European lawmakers speaking in the same sentiment and same voice as well, echoing concerns that have been raised by people on the ground. What action do you hope comes out after this issue is rigged up in the strongest level at the UNHRC?
Well, we are pushing for strongest actions, especially to stop the human rights abuses and the atrocities that are being committed against the Baloch people by Pakistani security forces on a daily basis. And we have been informing and urging the international communities, different countries like the United States and others, Western countries, those who support Pakistan militarily and otherwise, and we have been informing them about the situation in Balochistan, and we have been pushing them to stop. First of all, stop the military and the financial aid to Pakistan, and then to take action on what is happening on Balochistan.
Sir, we've seen that each time protesters also on ground raise their voice, they are silenced. Over the last few months, if you can elaborate for our viewers, the situation on ground has worsened.
Actually, the situation on ground for political and human rights activists have been very dire, so to say, and especially after the assassination of Baloch veteran leader Nawab Akbar Bukti in 2006, thousands of Baloch political activists have gone missing. Hundreds of them have been turned up dead, bearing the mutilated dead bodies and signs of torture, and they have been kept for years, in some cases in torture cells by the Pakistani security forces and intelligence agencies. And this is ongoing. This is getting worse day by day. And the military operations that are taking place in the places where Pakistani forces are extracting the natural resources of Balochistan, especially to force the local population to migrate from the area, and then to bring Chinese and other foreign companies to exploit the natural resources on the ground. So there is absolutely, actually all the Baloch NGOs and Baloch political parties are banned in Pakistan. Their activities are not allowed, and if anybody comes out to protest against those atrocities, they commit those heinous crimes against humanity, such as torture, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. And actually, we have been now raising the voices internationally. We have been organizing protest demonstrations, speeches that I've been given today, and we plan more seminars, press conferences, and protest rallies coming up during this session of the Human Rights Council. So we have been doing our best to attract more attention to our Balochistan and to convince the international community to take severe actions against the Pakistani brutal regime that is committing human rights violations in Balochistan.
Right, Mr. Bukti, appreciate your joining us, but please stay with me. Let's also get in more perspectives on the broadcast. Hamal Haider Baloch activist, joining us from London for more on this. So how do you see the Pakistan's atrocities being raised at UNHRC actually resulting in action on ground, given the fact that Pakistan has been denying the gross human rights violations for the longest time?
Yes, Pakistan has been trying to hide what it's doing in Balochistan, but the Baloch people and Baloch political activists in different parts of the world are protesting to show the Human Rights Organization and the United Nations that Pakistan is committing serious human rights violation in Balochistan. So I think it's almost impossible for Pakistani government and Pakistani establishment to hide these atrocities anymore. And Baloch activists are doing their best, and they're doing their best to show what Pakistan is doing in Balochistan. So there's a political party, BNM, is also doing different activities in different parts of the world. And we are organizing seminars and protests to show that Pakistani army is using worst kind of human tactics to suppress Baloch people and to suppress them, to stop their voices, raising their voices.
Right. Mr. Baloch, appreciate your joining us, but please continue to stay on with us, please. Let's also get in further perspectives. My colleague Ramesh Ramachandran is joining us from the international desk for more on this. Ramesh, to what extent does this really factor in, given the fact that Pakistan has been attracting worldwide condemnation? The UNHRC now takes a strong note of the gross human rights violations, but on the other hand, the recipient of this criticism, to say the least, has been denying that these gross human rights violations ever took place.
Absolutely, Molly. One must understand the text, the context and the subtext of what the various Baloch representatives living in exile have been saying over the years. In this case, at the 36th session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, we heard Abdul Nawaz Bukti of the Baloch Republican Party speak about the human rights abuses, violations, extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances which happen with alarming regularity in Balochistan, and for which the Pakistani state agencies are allegedly responsible for. So clearly the onus is clearly on the Pakistani state to either defend its actions or to explain its actions insofar as the Baloch people are concerned. But that said, this is an issue, is a live issue, and it is not going anywhere. The Human Rights Council and the larger international community are both seized of the situation, and one can expect more such statements to come out in the times to come.
Certainly one of many strings of criticism that have come the way of Pakistan. Stay with us, please, Ramesh. Hamal Haider Baloch is still with us. So if you can also elaborate for us the kind of violations that have been taking place on ground, and to what extent this serves as a fresh embarrassment for Pakistan, continuously left red-faced in the light of revelations that have been coming in from Balochistan. Mr. Baloch?
Hello, I couldn't hear you. Can you please repeat the question again?
Yes, sir, sure. We were talking about how this, of course, has a long history of violations taking place on ground. If you can elaborate for us how over the last few months in Pakistan's effort to cover up the violations, the things have actually spiraled out of control and worsened on ground for the people living in Balochistan.
Yeah, over the time, Pakistan has been increasing their military presence in Balochistan, and they have also been supporting Islamic extremists in Balochistan as well. It's a multi-dimensional strategy in Balochistan to suppress Baloch people, to promote Islamic extremism there. And you have recently got the news that top ringleader of Islamic extremists in Balochistan, which is also a Baloch, and has been running a very active death squad in Khozdar and in Mastung areas of Balochistan, has been delivering speeches in Pakistani seminars. So the situation is quite alarming. Pakistan is doing every evil thing in Balochistan to suppress Baloch people and to kill anyone they want. I mean, they have abandoned media to come into Balochistan and see and observe the situation. And they have closed thousands of NGOs that are doing voluntary work in Balochistan. And they are not letting anyone, any media outlet in Balochistan to see the situation. So which means that Pakistan is doing everything with impunity. But on the other hand, we are the representatives of Baloch people, and we have the support of our people. We get news, and we are trying our best to expose Pakistani atrocities and evil face of Pakistani government and Pakistani military.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Mr. Baloch and Mr. Bukti, and also our correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran, appreciate you joining us on the broadcast with all of those updates. We'll, of course, keep a close eye on the latest coming in from the UNHRC, where Pakistan's atrocities in Balochistan have been raised at the strongest level.